Today I want to talk to you about why the scale is making you fat. Obviously, that's a bold title, and I'm not serious when I say that the scale causes you to gain weight. What I mean by this is there are a lot of people out there who get extremely hung up on the number on the scale. So many individuals have a target weight in mind. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's how much they weighed in high school and they look their best. Maybe that's how much their friend weighs, or that's how much the celebrity that they look up to weighs, and they just have a specific number ingrained into their head that that's the ideal look. You know, I hear from a lot of people, and this story may sound familiar to you. You wake up, you look in the mirror, and you're happy with what you see. You're starting to see that your body's leaning out. Oh, look, your abs are starting to pop through. Maybe some muscle definition is finally popping. And you start to discover that your clothes are fitting a little bit better. Everything's tight where it should be. Everything's loose where it needs to be. You're just kicking ass in the gym, setting some PR, strength is going up, and just making some amazing gains in the gym. And perhaps your friends and family are starting to take notice of you. They're paying you with some compliments, saying how good you are looking, how you slimmed down, and how you overall are just looking fantastic. So everything's going great. You step on the scale, and all of those forms of feedback completely diminish because the scale's gone up. Everybody's worst nightmare. And knowing that you've gained just a few pounds from what you were the previous day completely ruins your day. I'm sure that sounds familiar for a lot of people. I'm here to tell you that there's a reason why this is happening. But I want to emphasize something extremely important here. Short-term fluctuations have nothing to do with your long-term progress. So today we're going to talk about 5 reasons why the scale is going like this. But first off, I want to quickly show you people's expectations for weight loss and what actually happens. So I got my notepad here, got our Y and X axis. You guys can see that. Y and X axis, we got our mass change in time frame. We'll say weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4 in time frame in weeks. We got 3 variables: what people expect, what actually happens, and the kind of changes we actually see. We have expect, actual, changes. So 3 variables. We got what we expect to happen, what actually happens, and the changes that actually occur. People's expectations for fat loss. They start up here, maybe 200 pounds, and they expect it to be a complete straight line in their time frame. Sorry if I go out of frame. I'm left-handed and I keep drawing out of frame. So that's what people expect to see when they lose weight. And the dashed line is what actually happens. So we start up here, go down a little bit, go back up a little bit, down a little bit again, up a little bit, and down. It's not as linear as our expectations are. And the next line is what the scale weight does. We start up here, we're gonna go down here, we're gonna go back up here, we're gonna go down here. You guys see that? Go back up here, all the way down, and then we'll get down there. That's what the scale weight actually does. So, short-term fluctuations have nothing to do with your long-term progress. So let's get into our 5 reasons why the scale is doing this. Number 1, probably the biggest reason, is our changes in glycogen storage. So this occurs when our carb intake is completely variable from day to day. So say you are on a low carb diet and you adhere to that on a daily basis, and then an event comes around where it's your birthday and you go all out and your carb intake is through the roof. This can increase your scale weight quite significantly, actually, especially if you are new to dieting and the weight room, because your capacity for total muscle glycogen storage increases when you are a beginner. So what does all this mean? Each gram of carb storage can cause your body to retain between 3 to 4 times that amount in water. So with an increased intake in your carbs coupled with your water intake can actually increase the scale weight quite significantly. So if you're out for dinner for Christmas or your birthday or graduation or any other reason that we have for increasing our carb intake, you need to realize that you can expect to see the scale weight to go up the next day. Doesn't mean that you have put on fat, it's just you're retaining water from that glycogen storage. Reason Reason number 2, sodium. If your normal diet is lower in sodium, say you're eating a lot of meat, veggies that are not necessarily processed, and then one night you go and crush a pizza, which I do quite regularly lately, which is insanely high in sodium. Your body's not used to that. That's an abnormal sodium intake that your body is experiencing. So can you expect the scale weight to go up the next morning? Absolutely you can. Why? Because having an abnormal intake of sodium causes your body to retain water. Just like eating less sodium than you normally would, your scale weight is going to go down. There's a hormone called aldosterone where the more production that there is, the more water retention that you are going to experience. So if your sodium levels are low, the body actually increases the production of aldosterone. So you can imagine that if you already have a low sodium diet, your aldosterone hormone is quite high. And then if you couple that with a high sodium day, imagine the amount of water that you can retain. Your body's gonna hold water like crazy. So yes, expect the scale weight to go up the next day. Does that mean you gain fat? No. Reason number 3, we are going to talk about this one. This one is going to the washroom. So if you haven't gone to the washroom before you are weighing yourself, that can increase the scale weight quite significantly, especially if you got to go number 2. This can actually increase the scale weight up to 1 to 3 pounds. So that's quite a significant fluctuation that you're going to experience. So ensure that when you are weighing yourself, that it's under similar conditions on an empty tummy in the morning after going to the washroom. Reason number 4 has the opposite effect. This one is alcohol. Alcohol actually extremely dehydrates you, so typically when you wake up the next day after having a few drinks, you wake up typically lighter. Now that's not to say that you should go drink a bunch of alcohol, because just because you're waking up lighter doesn't mean that you've lost fat, that you're losing weight. It just means that it's dehydrated you, and that's because of the number of times that you are going to the washroom throughout the evening. You typically release up to, I think it was about for every 200 milliliters of beer that you consume, you actually release up to 300 milliliters of urine. So typically having alcohol dehydrates you, results in the scale weight going down. Again, this does not mean that you have lost fat. Don't go drinking as thinking that you're going to get a thermogenic effect and burn a bunch of fat. That's not how it works. And the 5th reason is just everything else that's going on in your life. You need to assess your cortisol levels. Are you sleeping well at night? Also, you gotta pay attention to the amount of energy that you are spending in the gym. Is it your premenstrual cycle? That can cause bloating as well. Have you been sick at all? All of these things come into play when it comes to the scale weight. They are all important variables that you need to consider when you are weighing yourself, especially if you are weighing yourself regularly. All of these factors come into play when you are trying to assess why the scale has gone up or gone down. So this video is not meant to scare you away from the scale. I honestly think that weighing yourself is a valuable tool, but it's something to be taken lightly if you are going to be doing it day by day, because as you guys saw, the scale weight is gonna go like this. So looking at the scale weight long term is a much more effective method than looking at from day to day. Because if you look from here to there, you're gonna freak out. Oh, it dropped there, but why did it go up there? You know what I mean? So if you're obsessive over the scale like that, when you see minimal changes in the scale like that, I honestly recommend to stop weighing yourself so frequently, maybe once every 2 weeks, sometimes once a month. So obsessing over the scale is completely out of your control. These are just factors that you need to consider. I'm not saying that you need to analyze every single one of them to assess why the scale may changes, but if you notice that the scale went up the next day, before freaking out about it, ask yourself, what did I do differently yesterday? Oh, you know what? I went out for a barbecue dinner and I had a cheeseburger, and I don't normally have that every day. So that's probably why the scale went up. And being comfortable with that and realizing that the number on the scale doesn't define you and that you haven't completely demolished all of your hard work because the scale's gone up one day. Because if you're discouraged, it's gonna lead to inconsistency in your program, and then eventually you're just gonna fall off it and you're gonna be in a much darker situation than you think you are right now. So don't stress about the number on the scale. So if this does sound like you, you and you want to kind of take a break from the scale, there's a ton of other indicators that are completely reliable to assess whether you're making progress or not. So if you're not stepping on the scale, look at your measurements. I highly recommend body circumference measurements around your waist, hips, chest, arms, and thighs. Just consider measuring those on a weekly basis. Again, under similar conditions, ensure that you have gone to the washroom first, it's in the morning, and that you are measuring in the exact same spot. Progress pictures is another excellent tool, and it's not enough just to take progress pictures and look at one from last week and then the next one the following week. I highly recommend putting them side by side, assessing how your clothes are fitting. Are they fitting tighter at all? Are they fitting looser at all? Which areas are they fitting tighter and looser? Is it a lot looser in the waist and the hips and a lot tighter in the chest and the arms? That means you're making gains. So paying attention to that. Compliments from other people. People aren't going to compliment you just to be nice. Some people might, but for the most part, when people are paying compliments to how you are looking, it's because there are noticeable differences. Pay attention to those compliments and absorb them in, because you are making progress, especially if people are paying you compliments. So don't stress about the number on the scale. It doesn't define who you are as a person. And just remember that the short-term fluctuations on the scale has nothing to do with your long-term progress. And don't forget that this is a journey. Yeah, there's a destination point, but don't forget to enjoy the journey along the way. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.